and friends. Joining us right now from The Athletic, just cruising on towards the Super Bowl, much like the San Francisco 49ers. They will go as far as he leads them, the one, the only, Matt Barrows. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, guys. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Okay, well, now that we got that out of the way, the 49ers are also doing quite well. And, Matt, we were listening to Pete Carroll on our sister station up in Seattle, and he was basically saying if it's not Bosa, it's Armstead. If it's not Armstead, it's Warner. If it's not this, it's not that. That the 49ers are just there's too many issues to deal with. Is that kind of what you saw on Saturday? In the end, there was just too much 49er for Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. And those were all defensive players that he's naming. But I thought it was really the offense that won them that game because they came out in the third quarter and they started to pour it on from there. And in doing so, it sort of forced the Seahawks out of their game plan, which was to run the ball, and was something that they were doing very well to begin with. I think there were 20 runs in the first half by Seattle. There were only 5 in the second half. So they became one-dimensional, and when an offense is one-dimensional, that's when the 49ers defense really sort of takes hold. I mean, go back to the Raiders game, a game where the 49ers defense struggled. The Raiders, never really abandoned their running game. They had a running game. They had the deep passing game to Devontae Adams. They had intermediate passing game to Darren Waller. They were complete throughout that game, and that's really a rarity this season. Usually an offense has to go one way or the other against the 49ers, and like I said, that's when they're at their best.
Talking with Matt Barrows here from The Athletic. All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. So, Matt, offensively, you talked about them in the second half much better. What did you see from Brock Purdy early versus later? Because it sure seemed like he got a lot better as the game went along.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was maybe some playoff jitters, but the rain early on, I mean, that was a big storyline going into the game, and it was mostly a non-factor, but early on it was raining, and he said that first pass, which everybody I think probably gasped when it was so far away from Deebo Samuel, it just got out of his hand, and he just threw it oddly. So after that there was a miscommunication with Juwan Jennings near the goal line early on, but other than that, second half again. He looked like Brock Purdy, and then he looked like a really good version of Brock Purdy too. I think that wriggling out of pressure and finding open receivers, which is stuff we associate with Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Really the elite quarterbacks in this league. The difference between a run-of-the-mill quarterback and an elite quarterback is that when the play breaks down, the elite guys end up gouging the defense, and that's what Purdy was doing, and that's what seems to separate him from some other players out there.
The numbers that he has, as we talked to Matt Barrows, rating, for example, just continue to grow and dominate. And it's, Matt, has it moved past the point for you, or maybe it already did a long time ago, where it's, oh wow, Brock Purdy, what a great story, to, all right, it's not just he's not Trent Dilfering this team to wins. Mm-hmm. He's actually leading them, no offense to Trent, but leading them to wins with his amazing play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was the case. I mean, some of these were, like I said, most other quarterbacks out there, you're settling for 3 points on at least 2 of those drives, and Purdy was delivering you touchdowns, and easy touchdowns too. It turned out to be easy touchdowns because the play was kept alive for so long that inevitably somebody, Christian McCaffrey early on, and then Elijah Mitchell in the fourth quarter just sort of poke free. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to overstate it. I mean, I just going over all the quarterbacks who are left in the playoffs, and the vast majority of them are not only first rounders, but top 10 picks. And here you have the one guy who stands out was the last pick in the draft. It's been written and it's obvious, but it's still such a huge point. How did this talented guy last until the very end of the 7th round?
Matt, the one area defensively that they had trouble with a little bit, understandably. I mean, you had good players on the other side, too. Metcalf got loose a little bit, 10 catches, over 100 yards, a couple of scores. And not only was he going against Lenore, but I thought he got Ward a couple times, which was surprising. So if you kind of transfer that to this week where Dak looked exceptional yesterday, what kind of trouble do you think the Cowboys offense can pose this week?
A lot. I mean, it's another. I just talked about the Raiders. This is another complete offense. And in fact, you could say it's more complete than what they saw in Las Vegas because the quarterback can really run as well, and that's been an issue for the 49ers. But if you go back to that Raiders game, you've got Vontae Adams going for over 100 yards and a couple of scores. Then the next week, you got David Blau at quarterback, but A.J. Green still has a huge game, almost 100 yards and a touchdown. And then on Saturday, it was DK Metcalf with, I forget what his yardage total was, huge, plus 2 touchdowns. So they've had 3 big downfield receivers, really gouge them in recent weeks. So I think any team, you might have said that Mike Evans and that group would have been even, a bigger challenge than the Cowboys. But any team, I think has the ability to go down the field against the 49ers, at least the last few weeks suggest that. Now, the question is, does that matter? I mean, the 49ers had that happen to them, and, they were runaway winners in 2 out of the 3 of those games. So they've been able to deal with, one player on the opposing team having a breakout performance. The question is if it's CD Lamb plus Pollard or CD Lamb plus Schultz. I mean, that's what you want to minimize. You want to keep it to one guy having a big game, not 2 or 3.
Matt Barrows talking right now from The Athletic. We're talking about the Dallas offense. I'm a little worried about their defense. There's an opportunistic defense, some young players there, and it's, we talk about Brock Purdy tests every week, but they're going to be setting traps. They're going to be doing all kinds of interesting stuff. What kind of threat do you think their D poses on the Niners?
Well, I mean, the edge presence was prominent yesterday with Micah Parsons, and I remember he was a big problem for them last year as well. But they were able to handle it. They were able to scheme around it. That's the sort of the beauty of the 49ers offense, and something that they were really talking about after the Seahawks game on Saturday, which is, if a team attacks us from this side, we have answers on this side here and down the field. They feel like they're much more complete than they've been in the past. Every team seems to be taking the same tact against Brock Purdy, which is, we're going to sell out to stop the run, and we're going to make Purdy beat you over the top. And he has. I mean, he's answered the challenge. That was the theme of his stats on Saturday, is that he was attempting passes much further down the field than he had all season, than any other 49ers quarterback had all season, and they won in a rout. So they've had answers whenever defenses have tried to take away certain aspects of their game. And I think that's going to be the case on Sunday.
Everybody make it through that game okay, health-wise?
Yeah, pretty healthy. There were a couple of sprained ankles, but certainly nothing that you're saying on, Tuesday here, that the guy's out for the following game. So Juwan Jennings and Samson Ebukam, both dealing with sprained ankles. We'll see how they practice during the week. Jennings came back into the game, so I think he's going to be okay. But that second defensive end position, I don't know if the 49ers have solved that, even though here we are going into the second round of the playoffs. You got Bosa, you got Armstead, you've got Kinlaw back, but it's that other DN position that's been, I'd say, underperforming all season. You saw Charles Omenihu have a big game in the second half, especially. I wonder whether he gets more run in this one, no matter what.
Matt Barrows with us, and you can read Matt Barrows all week long as the Niners continue to rush towards and pass and, sack towards the Super Bowl. And big matchup this weekend, as I said earlier, Matt, between two franchises that don't have a lot of history, the Niners and the Cowboys, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun covering that. We look forward to talking to you in a week.
Yeah, me too. Talk to you later, guys.
Thank you.
That is Matt Barrows. We'll pause, take a quick break, and by quick, I mean 60 seconds. When we come back, Sean Salisbury on Sactown Sports.